Yeah, dude. So I actually went to the zoo last weekend down in San Diego, and apparently I didn't know. Of course, I didn't know this, but it was like week too, Pride Week, and
Oh, yeah.
for me, I was just like, didn't you guys just have a month? Like, but I guess like this was the original week, whatever, and it's right next
The
to
week
the
before the month.
yeah, it's right next to the
Yeah.
zoo. So well, first of all, it's a zoo next to a zoo, right? there's like no parking, and everybody's wearing as little as possible, as crazy as possible, and that didn't even bother me. Where all I was thinking was, like I should have like an opposite like fest where it's
Yeah.
like conservative fest, but not like political, like modest fest, where it's
Now,
just like
have you
where
been watching Tim Pool at all?
no,
He's been doing MAGA month, like Make
eh,
America Great Again month, and
yeah.
it has nothing to do with Trump. He's just saying like, yeah, dude, an excuse to have a barbecue, pull out your American flag, and do something good for the
Yeah, no,
country.
this one I'm talking about, like where at the Pride Week one, it was like they're all like, "Oh, look at him, he's in a banana hammock. Oh, I wanna take him home." But for my modest fest, it would be like, "Dude, look at that chick. She's not even showing her ankles. Like
Oh!
some chick walks by and you're like, dude, she has a Bible, but it's a study Bible. Like, oh, so hot. Like, just the
Or
opposite. You
it's
know what I
like
mean?
it's even older than the King James version.
She
Like
won't
it's
walk anywhere without her man. She's got a trash bag on. Oh. Too far? My bad.
trash bags too far.
Dude,
But I
like
get
that.
yeah.
It just reminded me because I was like, all right, like the POC thing, the people of color thing. I'm like, isn't that just kind of just saying colored people? Aren't we just kind of circled now?
That kind of feels more racist to me.
I know, but isn't it the same thing? You've just reversed the words. You've
It
just
is
said
literally it's the same
literally
words.
the same
It's the
thing.
same words.
Yeah. I was just thinking, like, it's not the words then, it's how you say them, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I think so.
All right. I don't know. I was just like, I want to say black kid when I see a,
I just don't
and I don't think
I
it's a
think
problem.
I think it's way less racist to just say that black guy because they say the same thing about like that white guy.
It's a non issue at that point. If I say that person of color, then it's like, in my mind, if I was that guy, I would be like, okay, you had to think about it first. You had to be like, oh, don't be racist. Say this, right? Unless you just instead of just saying, yeah, that black guy. And I'm like, okay, it's not an issue for you because it was so natural, it just flowed out of you
Yeah.
instead of
Oh yeah.
like having to sit there and have a little inner monologue.
Dude,
I
that's
don't
what
know.
I'm saying. Like the lefty types who think like that are just super
You're
racist.
actually
They're
racist. Yeah,
super racist
yeah,
because that's all you're thinking about.
yeah.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
That's my whole point. Yeah, that's my whole
Yeah.
point. Speaking of which, dude, I was having a discussion with the student at work about literacy tests and voting because I think it comes into everybody's mind where you're like, you see somebody who just doesn't know what they're talking about,
Mm.
and you're like, there should be some kind of like minimum requirement to voting, but then that's like,
There used
first
to
of all,
be.
that's classist. I know
Yeah, you see.
I don't want it because if you think about it, like, I just want to say the negatives first.
Yeah. Okay.
If I were to be in charge of the test that said like whether you could vote or not, and one of the questions was, can a man be a woman? And if you answered no, and you're like, oh, you're disqualified from voting because I made the test and these are the answers, you got the answers wrong. See
Yeah.
how you can like exclude certain like political ideologies?
Well, and you
But,
could easily take it the other way around, right? Somebody
right.
who's writing the test, if you say yes to that, or if you say a man can't be a woman. Oh, wait, that's what you just said. I'm sorry. I thought you said it the other way around. I thought you were saying uh, if a man can be a woman, then you get to vote, and if you say that a man can't be a woman, then you don't get to vote. That's what you were saying, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And
I,
it could go both ways. Like you could phrase that question however you want people to answer, and then say you're excluded because I don't like
yeah,
your opinion.
exactly. And then even then, like a test like that isn't gonna capture like for instance, like I can have somebody who doesn't know a lot be like cunning enough, witty enough to know the right thing to do at the same time. They don't have to be a genius to know the right thing to do or
Right.
vote or whatever. Right? Like I was listening to this guy he does like IQ tests for a living and he was like there's a certain factor of people who have the G factor, I think he called it, where it was like it's not what they know, it's their ability to learn. And some people's G factors are higher and lower. So it's why like somebody can pick up like programming in like 5 months or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
versus somebody who just like has a hard time learning because their G factor is low. But that doesn't mean that they don't
It
know
just
what's
means it's a
right
lot harder for them to
to
learn.
learn things.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't know. I I think that if you can't get your ass down there on the voting day and vote, it's like for something that important, you know?
Well, and that's what I've been hearing lately. Like, not only that you should be able to get down there, but it should be on one day. Like, mail-in voting skews everything, and it mucks up a whole lot of things. And so we should just make voting day a national holiday. Everybody should get that day off, or at least
Yeah.
time to go do something that important. Right.
I mean, I have not voted. I have not showed up before. So I have had like times when I'm like, I just don't think it matters. And I just didn't go. Like 2020, for example, I was just like, my vote doesn't, not really, I didn't vote. Mostly because I was out of my voting district. but
I voted.
but I was
voted,
like,
yeah.
dude, it which is weird to say because every vote matters. It does matter. It always matters. But for some reason, there's this like jaded ideal of voting at the same time. Like, what do you think causes people to skip out on it? Because everybody, like, you ask somebody, they're so animated and they're like, you believe these Democrats, you believe these Republicans. And then, like, that's the guy that didn't vote. And it's like, if you care so much, why didn't you go on the day, you know?
I think it's the same kind of like mindset you get into when it's the I'll never mindset. I'll never make a difference. I'll never become a millionaire. I'll never do that thing that I said I would do. It's that it's especially when the pool gets so big, right? When you get if you're voting and there's 10 people voting, then you absolutely think your vote counts. But the more people you add in there, you just it doesn't matter, right? I don't know how or why that happens, but I understand that feeling of like there's a million people voting in California. Let's just take a million just to make things simple, right? Obviously, there's more than a million, but
Yeah.
it's like if I was voting in LA, it's like, well, yeah, my vote certainly doesn't matter in LA. Now it would, right? It would in the sense that if I voted and everybody else the way I felt that everybody else that felt the way I felt voted, it would make a difference. The problem is exactly what you're saying. Everybody who feels the way I do is just saying, it doesn't matter. But it does matter. You just don't think it does.
It does and it doesn't. If I think about, like, the most tangible ways that, like, this government in the last 2 years has affected me, it's been gas prices. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, but
like when I think about it.
Gas prices bleeds into your whole life, though.
But
my food prices cost
I understand
more.
people tell me that, but like it does a little bit, but like as a whole, my life has not changed very much, other than the things that I have changed, right?
Oh, I don't know about your grocery bill, but my grocery bill is almost doubled.
I don't really pay attention to mine. Because it's low. It's low. It's always like $70 a month. Or
So
a week.
I used to spend about like $300-ish
A week?
a month.
Okay.
A week. Anywhere between $300 and $400 a month on groceries.
Okay.
And now I spend about $650 on groceries a month, and that's on top of like, dude, that's $100 on gas a week too. So it used to be $40 to fill up my Kia, now it's $100.
Yeah. See, I haven't noticed gas prices have gone down because I live right next to my work, so I'm just like, I don't. Maybe that's why I didn't feel as invested in voting this time around.
Dude, it affected me big time. Well, not only that, but like the tax cuts like really helped me out.
Yeah, they did for sure. I did notice that.
So for me, it affected me. Like that's just because my budget is just more. Like I have more mouths to feed. I have more traveling I need to do.
Mine's more flexible. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have more places I can just cut out, and it's like fine. I cut out a lot of my subscriptions.
That's what I was gonna say. The only places I could really cut out was like we changed our phone bill. We cut out the subscriptions. We don't really like there. Dude, there are places that we can cut out like 100%, but then that's a quality of life thing, right? But there are areas where it's like, I have to.
Well,
there is no wiggle room.
Let me ask this: like, what would be something that would disqualify someone from voting that you would say like this person should not be allowed to vote because of this? What is one point? Tough to answer because like
it's tough to answer when you're talking about a person, right? Because it's like, but something that would disqualify it for me, it's like, well, what's that guy's plan? If you can't even tell me like the TV bullet points of his plan, why are you voting?
I think yeah, okay. That's a good point. That is a good point. Like what is who are you going to vote for? And then they tell you and you're like, "Okay, can you fill out these 10 things where like his stance on these 10 issues, I think that would be a good test. If it was
That's
like,
my
what's
thing.
not just like, what's his stance on abortion? What's his, like, not that. Like, what is his stance on like, if, like, to do about you? So let's take a current example. Like, say it's 2023 or 2024, we're going to vote. And we ask, like, what's his stance on Ukraine? Is he going to leave or is he going to stay or is it worth fighting? Like, what do you think he said? And if they like can't, they probably can't answer all of them because I know that even me when I'm asked like on the spot, like, why don't you like somebody? And I go, it's kind of like aggregate, dude. It's not like a.
Well, if people ask me why I don't like Joe Biden, it's easy, dude. I don't like the gas prices. I don't like the whole green, like he's streamlining this whole green initiative thing, and it's like it's hurting me, dude.
That's what I mean. That's a specific thing. Like, for instance, like if I were to say, I don't like X politician because he's corrupt. That doesn't answer the question. How is he corrupt? What did he do?
Yeah, but
You
I'm
know?
telling you exactly why I wouldn't vote for him. There are.
Okay.
I'm telling you the things that he is doing. Now I can't tell you his exact policies, but I can tell you the things that he's doing that are affecting my life and why I wouldn't vote for him. It's not just like
Okay.
it's not just because, well, I'm a conservative and conservatives don't like Democrats. It's like, nah, not good enough, dude.
All
Not
right.
good enough.
Let me push back on you then. What did he specifically do that you think caused raised gas prices? Specifically him.
He shut down the Keystone Pipeline, which I know was obvious. I know how that works. Like
Yeah.
that wasn't producing any oil, but it did raise the speculation prices.
It's true.
So that made the speculation scope, which made the gas prices go up.
Yeah.
He didn't allow any federal drilling on any of the federal land. So now they
Yeah.
can't drill on federal land. Anybody can't drill oil. He's selling our oil to other nations for whatever reason, even though we need it, and he keeps telling us that he's going to bring it down by releasing oil, and then we find out he released strategic oil, which is actually for our military defense, but he released it and then gave some to China. And now we're going to go to Saudi Arabia, and who else was he trying to go to? Brazil, somewhere down south, I think. We're gonna
Venezuela.
Venezuela, yeah. He went to Venezuela, and then he went to Saudi Arabia to ask them for money. It's like, oh, okay, so it's okay if they pollute, and then give us their oil because then our hands are clean somehow. It's like, no, dude, it's.
I'll do you one better. That sounds all good and plenty and everything, and I do agree with some of that. I'll do you one better. Like, if somebody asks me like, what did he specifically do? I don't care. He's in charge. He's the guy, and it's not going well. So that I don't care why. I do not care to tell you what like. Well, what is he supposed to do? I don't care. It's not my job. It's his. Fix it. So
Yeah.
like, I don't. If a plumber comes to me and says like, I know you called me, but your toilet's still backed up. And he throws up his hands and goes, well, what do you want me to do? I want you to fix it. That's why I called you. So I don't care.
It's your
You know what
job
I
to
mean?
know how
Like,
to fix it.
I'm
not
not
mine.
the politician. You are.
Mm.
I don't know the full ins and outs of everything. And I didn't apply for the job. You did. So the same thing with like Trump and Obama. Like I called balls and strikes, dude. Like one thing Obama did that I liked is he kept Guantanamo Bay open. I liked that. There's some things he did that I didn't like too, like the ACA. I didn't like that. But my point is like, you're the guy in charge. I don't care whose fault it is or whatever. It falls on you. That's the part of the job, right?
The
That's
buck
like
the buck stops with you, bro.
it's like a head coach if his. I mean, that's such a played out example, but it's
Yeah,
like,
but it's so good,
but it's like,
dude.
dude, like, well, they got injuries and the other team was cheating and I don't care, dude. Okay, then that means like you weren't good enough to cheat back, or you know what I mean? Like, I don't care what it was. You're
You know what,
fired.
dude? I find myself saying this often to people. I don't care for your excuses. I don't, dude. Anytime a new hire gets brought in at work, like the first thing I told the new guy was, when something happens, don't make excuses. Say, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. Because he don't want to hear it, and I don't want to hear it, dude.
That's something I also encountered at work, dude. There's a dude there who like likes to blame shift, and the weird thing is he was only fooling himself. Like, he's a soup of first, and he talks to the head soup, and I talk to him, and he's like, dude, I know he's just saying that and blaming you guys. Like, I'm not dumb. It can't be all you guys. And I'm like, I'm not worried about it because I like for me, when there's an issue, I don't care about whose ass do I need to burn. I think of like, who did this, not to get them in trouble, but so that I can ask them what happened and fix this and prevent it from happening again. It's not a matter,
Absolutely.
right? So anyway, that's all that aside. I don't know if it's because I'm getting a little bit older and I'm tired of explaining things, or like, you know how like a kid, if you ask them a question and they know the answer, even if you didn't ask them, they'll readily give the answer. Like a kid will like be like, "Oh, I know why. It's because this, and this." And young people even do that sometimes.
Yes, I experience
They'll be
that
like,
every
"Oh,
day.
oh, I know what this is." Da, 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 da. But like for me, somebody's is bringing up an issue. Even if I know the answer, I'm just like, let them figure it out, dude. I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care to even explain a lot of my opinions anymore. It's like I used to like find the most logical, rational way to explain, and now it's like this is because I believe it's right. What do
Yeah.
you want me to?
Dude, my biggest thing is just taking whatever issue is that I believe in, condensing it into 2 sentences, and if that doesn't convince you, nothing will. Straight up, dude. I mean, whenever I talk to
I
these guys, like they're just like,
you know what?
"Oh, that made sense."
You know what? Yeah. Well, you have the benefit of like sitting down in an hour with somebody. If I had that,
That's true.
that'd be fine. One on one, that'd be fine. Like, I will go the distance with somebody if I feel like it's like there's a bridge to be made there, but not if I've got like 30 seconds to try to like, and then I sound like some shill yelling out my point, like
Well, and the other benefit I get is that people get to not only do I get an hour with them, but they get to see how I interact with everybody, and they get to see that I'm consistent, and so they trust my word more. When I do have something to say, even if they disagree with it, they're like, "Okay, well, he's consistent on how he walks, acts, and talks."
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. I don't think there can be a test, man. I wish there was. I wish there was a way to distill if somebody's capable of making a vote or
No,
not. But
you
like,
know what?
once you put a limit on something, the bar moves, and then you when you go fishing for sharks, you catch dolphins, and that's I don't want anybody disenfranchised.
Yeah, but dude, you know what though? I completely agree with you, 100%. Everybody's voice should count. But I think if there was to be a test, just saying something like, just name one thing that you like about this guy. Name one thing politically, not that they're a Democrat, not that they're a conservative, or not that Orange Man bad, or not that Joe Biden is Sleepy Joe. None of that stuff. Like, that doesn't count. You need better arguments than that. Just name me one thing. You don't like the gas prices. Okay.
So I think this is why we don't have a popular vote, because it shouldn't be a popularity
It would be bad.
contest.
It would be bad.
I think this is why we don't have a popular vote. Just like we were talking about with like cops, like we don't have everybody like making citizens arrests. It's their job to do it because they literally do it for a living and they can specialize in it. I think that's why we elect representatives or electoral college people, because they can like literally take all the time to vet and do what they need to do for a living so they can go make the correct like I always Michael Knowles was doing it the other day where he was like reading off a list of 43 Republicans that betrayed us by enshrining gay marriage into the Constitution. I'm like, did you know that they voted yes on something? But if they say they're against it and they voted yes on it, it should tell you more than just, oh, they're a hypocrite. It should tell you that like maybe they saw something you didn't see. Maybe
Yeah.
they had a conversation you weren't privy to. Maybe they know something about like if I was a representative or a senator and I was talking to Pentagon people and they're like, yeah, dude, like it's actually really bad. We don't tell the American people this because we don't want people to panic, but like we've like shot down 2 nuclear missiles in the last like 30 days and we really need money for this missile defense system because I like here's the reports, like this is classified for obvious reasons, but yeah. And then I vote yes on a spending bill that I said I wasn't going to vote on because we need that, right?
Yeah.
So there's things that are classified that like at me as an everyday person, all I'm hearing is like the pundits going, "Oh, you're a hypocrite. You said something and you had to do the opposite." Cuz things happen. You know what I mean? These people like there's corrupt people too. But I'm just saying like nobody ever gets the benefit of the doubt. Maybe that's just the play of politics, but
Yes. No, that's the other thing I was going to say was that the problem with politics is it doesn't seem like anyone's allowed to kind of everybody really should be an independent, right? Because there are some things that I'm very conservative on, but there are other things that it's like if people only knew certain things about me, they'd be like, "Oh, he's a total Democrat." And if they only knew certain things about me, they'd be like, "He's a total conservative." It's like, dude,
that's a good point.
people aren't just monolithic, if that's even the right word. Right? They're not just one note. You're not just one note. You're a chord. You're many different chords.
I always say we're dice. We're that's the way I say it, but that's a good way to say it too. Record, yeah. There's many notes. But
yeah. Well, and then maybe you don't like the flavor of the chord you're playing, and you play a different chord, and it's like completely different. But to your point, like people should try to maintain some consistency, but you are absolutely allowed to change your opinion. Like the whole gay marriage thing, I don't know if my opinions change on that, but I think politicians are allowed to be like, you know what? I really don't see how this is a political issue. It's none of my business, so have at it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I see what like if I was a politician, like you cannot have like from what I understand, from what I see them, they usually have like their cause,
Yeah.
and they usually rally behind that, and that was usually the reason that got them into office. So they're like, this is my one thing I got to get done. All the other stuff is important to me too, but I can't do everything. And I'm pretty sure like I don't know. I'd like to look at their schedules and be like, see how busy they really are, how many people they meet with, and who they meet with. I'm sure it's public record, but
I think the biggest problem is all the campaigning, dude. They're always just out for the next campaign, and I don't know if term limits is a good solution or not. But it seems to me like everyone's always too busy just campaigning.
well, you never stop campaigning. Everything you say is gonna, especially in this age. But I think for it's well, it's set up differently. Like a representative should always be on their toes because we should have a way of a redress of grievance against them, and that's usually a vote every 2 years for
The House.
representatives.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 for senators, rotating, and then 4 for president. Like I don't think we should ever give them more than 4, and I think less than 4 is too little.
Well, I heard an interesting proposition the other day was like, do you think the president should serve one 6-year term? Right? Because 4 years is just enough to kind of get your foot in the door. And then the last year and a half of your first term is really just you getting back on the campaign trail, hoping to get reelected again to finish up your crap. Where it's like, okay, maybe give them one 6-year term and just do the things that you needed to be done without having to worry about reelected. Stop worrying about getting reelected. Worry about fulfilling the things that you said you were going to do.
Yeah, I mean I was also looking at I don't want to get in the weeds here, but like parliamentary systems and stuff where all groups are always represented, and you have to form coalitions and stuff. We just have that bicameral system where it's like you have to have 2 parties, and that doesn't mean that none of the other ones get representation. It just means like usually the Green Party's issues get absorbed by the Democrat Party and adopted, and usually like NRA, other groups of people get absorbed by Tea Party got absorbed by conservatives.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, dude. I just think that
I think that politics should not be pop culture. That's what I think.
we should stop. Yeah, it's like, dude, like we sent the people. It doesn't need to be all day, every day. We sent the people. That's just like, do I sit with my binoculars at my window looking and being the neighborhood watch, or do I go, well, we hired some cops, I'm gonna go to work and have just a regular day?
Dude,
That's like,
you know what
why is it like constantly 24/7 digesting politics?
Well, that's what I was thinking about this. Not every show, I'm sorry. There's a lot of shows that I watch where there's just propaganda all over the place. Politics are thrown in, left or right, dude. Like, doesn't matter to me. There's propaganda shoehorned in there, and I was just thinking, like, what makes a television show great? I'm like, oh, the great ones are the ones that just decided, I'm going to make something fun. That's not like Stranger Things. Like,
Yeah.
if there's propaganda in there, it missed me, right? Or
Yeah.
like The Mandalorian. Just
Yeah.
good TV,
Yeah.
you know?
Dude, okay. So that's what I think, like if we just had that's such a big ask. Dude, you know what bothers me is when people who aren't a certain religion like to say stuff about that religion, like, and that goes for Christians too. Like when a Christian says, "Oh, Mormons believe this, this, and this," can you believe that? Or like when a atheist says, like, "Oh yeah, like I know all about your religion. You believe this Exodus, da 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 da," and I'm like, dude, like there are people smarter than you and me who believe this. Okay?
Yeah,
and
dude, totally.
there are smarter people than you and me who believe atheism too. Like, so you shouldn't be commenting at all. You know what I mean? Like, it's like something. It's just, dude. It's like with the chick that invented the MRI. Hey, shout out to chicks. You invented something, a useful thing. Sorry, sorry. Okay, well, we got off on the bad note. Like, Let me reset that.
Skirt that
Okay.
back. Skirt, skirt.
All right. So
Thanks to the MRI,
the
ladies.
chick that invented the MRI, which revolutionized modern medicine, she believes the Earth is 6,000 years old. Is she an idiot? Is she dumb because she believes that one thing?
Yeah,
Or maybe she saw a side of something that you didn't because you only heard the guy that doesn't like it say something and you went, oh, 100%, 100%, I believe you. And you didn't listen to this other expert person, smart ass person, and you just decided they're an idiot because they have one opinion. It's just like you saw their dice, the dice of who they are. You saw the one, you didn't see the six.
Yeah, dude.
You know what I mean?
The one thing I cannot stand, because I'm with you, dude. I don't comment on any other religion because first I don't know crap about the other religions. Like I know surface level stuff that I can like. Oh, this you believe in this, and then but I'm like, nope, I don't know enough. Take a step back. But what my point is when I hear other people talk about Christianity, I'm like, dude, you're just so wrong.
Yeah.
You're so like, and you're so gun ho about it. You're so like, oh, I got him, and I'm like, nah, dude, you're so unbelievably wrong. It's just stop talking about it. And that's the same thing with politics, dude. That's why I'm saying like politics should not be pop culture.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. And I'm not opposed to when people say that because it's Christianity, because I don't like when they say it about Islam either. I'm like, they don't believe that. Nope, not 72 virgins. Nope, they don't believe that either. And I'm not mad because because I'm some kind of pacifist that doesn't like Islam being attacked. Behead those who insult Islam. No, I'm not like that. I get mad because you're clearly just like bashing on something you don't even understand. So you sound like an idiot to me. You sound like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
that's exactly what it is, dude. You just decided that everything that comes out of your mouth is gold, and everyone else is an idiot,
Yeah.
and everyone needs to listen to the gold you're spewing right now. And it's like, you sound so stupid because of how right you think you are.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. Like you're allowed to have an opinion on it and say like I don't like it because this, and that, but like the vitriol on it, especially most of the time I hear it about Christians, and like
Because they're an easy target,
there's
dude.
always a nugget in there where I'm like, I could show you how you're wrong on this or explain, but in reality, like because you said that, I know you're just completely full of shit and you don't know what you're talking about, and so it's like there's no point. You're not ready. If that's you know what I mean.
You are
If
not
that's-
ready. What is
that's
that
kinda-
from? You are not ready. What is that from?
It's from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
He's
yeah.
not ready.
He's not. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I it's not to bring it to politics too. It's like there will be people who say stuff. I heard this guy. He knows my political leanings, and he was like, "Can you believe them? They said this, for real?
Doesn't matter.
Can you believe them? I heard this, and this." And I was like, "Dude, the fact you didn't even say the word right. You said it like infanticize." He's like, "Can you believe they infanticize?" I'm like, "It's infanticide, bro. It's infanticide. Like you don't even somebody told you be mad and you're mad now."
Yeah.
So it's like you have not. Here's the real thing, dude. The humility is a big ass these days. I know for me too, but I'm just saying the humility to say that somebody in the Middle Ages, 600, 700 AD, was so much smarter than me that they knew more than me without the internet. Okay, you have the internet and you still can't be as smart as that guy who wrote
Yeah.
stuff like painstakingly on parchment and copied it over and over and like took way more time to do that when you can just sit here and listen to podcasts with your headphones on and you still are an idiot and you still won't recognize that this great man handed down all this knowledge and stuff and you didn't even read it. You didn't even read it. You didn't even read Aquinas. You didn't read, Augustine. These men who did stuff when people didn't even know how to fix a cold. Okay?
Yeah.
They knew all this information. When people say, "Why does God allow bad things to happen?" That guy answered it. That guy did. Okay? But you're just so stuck in your thing that you're not looking for the answer. You're looking for a knife to twist. That's all you're looking for.
You're looking for validations of your own biases, but
And- yeah.
your metaphor was much more eloquent.
You're
than what
looking
I
for
just
cope
said.
fuel. You're looking for something to just, yeah, it feels good. Because the anger dopamine thing is alive and real, and anger is like the best emotion to elicit, and it doesn't fade away because you're waiting for the justice. You're angry
Right.
about something and you're waiting for the recompense, capitulation, justice, whatever you want to call it. The love aspect, if you make somebody feel good, it wears down. But the anger like stays a lot longer because you're still waiting for that justice to come along. And like
Mm-hmm.
you're not looking for your anger to be soothed. You're looking for whatever you were angry at to be dealt with. And the longer it goes not dealt with, you're just like
Well,
still
dude,
mad.
and like to be fair, it might never get dealt with. There's a lot of things that you can be angry about that just like don't truly ever get dealt with.
Give
You know?
in to your anger.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how Palpatine stayed alive, right? Star Wars.
I think that like I said, there's also great atheist people too that I've listened to that make great arguments, and not they're not being illogical. Now the screaming person on the side of the road that just says like, "Ma, sky fairy, ma." Yeah, that dude's an idiot. He doesn't even know why he believes what he believes. But like so where, like, when does that? How do you sort those two people? How do you sort them? Right? Isn't that kind of the question? Is like, how do you sort somebody who's capable of learning something, capable of being objective, and somebody who's not?
Just
Because
gotta talk to him.
as soon as you try to sort those groups, you're now a gatekeeper, and
Mm.
gatekeepers are always bad, in my opinion. It's like,
Yeah, I suppose I can agree with that.
right,
to a certain extent.
because humans are fallible, and so like as long as there's a gatekeeper that's a human being, they will succumb to their own biases, consciously or subconsciously.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
that,
you
yeah,
can't
absolutely.
just, you can't just say like, well, these people are in charge because they're non-political. I'm like, dude, there is no such thing as a non-political person. There is no such thing. It's just a
Well-
degree of how invested you are in it, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, just to segue back for a second, the biggest thing I hate about non-Christians who criticize Christianity is they always come back to the word hypocrite, and I'm like, congratulations, man, you just described everybody ever, always. Right?
The hypocrite thing is not that's not something that's unique to any, say, religion per se. That's not something that's unique to any group of people. It's
It's not unique to anything. It's just people.
judgmental people. I find them everywhere, including people who say they're not judgmental. I find them too. I make judgments.
Bro, I 100% fall into gossiping and judging. I always gotta.
Thing is, dude, like
It's hard to recognize
sometimes you're allowed to judge. I'm allowed to have my judgments on people. I'll give you an example. I don't have this judgment, but it would be a valid judgment. Say you see somebody with tattoos, okay? It would be a valid judgment of somebody to say, I'm going to infer a few things about you based on your tattoos. Like, you might say that's fair or not fair, accurate or not accurate, but the reality is you chose to draw on yourself permanently, and I'm allowed to infer some things based on that. I'm wearing this shirt,
Yeah.
right? I'm wearing this shirt. You're allowed to infer some things based on me choosing this shirt to wear, right? Or like, you know what I'm saying? Like even somebody's style. I could be wrong. It could I could be misguided in that judgment. It could be the person just got a tattoo because their best friend was going off moving abroad and they wanted something to remember them by. But even then I could say, so the friendship was so fragile that you needed to etch something permanently on your skin lest you forget that friendship.
Yeah.
Right? There's always some kind of thing like,
Well, that's
now I
what
don't feel that way about tattoos. I'm just saying people are too sensitive with that word judgment to say, you can't judge me. Yes, I can. I'm allowed to.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, I was gonna say about like emo goth blue hair people. Oh, what are you looking at? I'm looking at you, dude, because you look weird. Like I'm sorry that you're like
because you've turned yourself into a spectacle. I'm sorry I turned my head. Right?
Yeah,
It's-
well, that's the thing, dude. Like, maybe I'm thinking nothing, but you're out of the ordinary. Are you not doing it for attention? Because that would be surprising to me.
That's my point. Like I haven't made a judgment on your moral character because of any of that. I've
Right.
made a judgment on your not even decision making, just kind of like I've made very shallow, like surface level judgments, which is okay to do. Right? That's not something that's incorrect. We do that all the time with
Everybody does it all the time. Even people, dude, you hit the nail on the head when you say people, oh, I don't judge people. Yeah, you absolutely do. You totally judged me You just didn't. You just never said it out loud, and so now you're keeping it a secret.
Right.
You totally did.
Right, because you don't want to cede that ground. You want the ability to say you can't judge me.
You
But
want the moral
you made
superiority
10
too,
judgments as soon as you saw me. So
which is fine.
I don't blame you for that. Yeah, I don't blame you for that. It's half the reason I shower. I don't want people to
Dude, that goes back to a conversation we were about shaming. Like, remember with like this the loose lady you were talking about who was having the affair, and she was like, "I don't care. I don't know his wife. Whatever."
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, for shame, dude. If I stopped taking showers, shame.
Yeah.
Dude, if I started like drinking again or something like that, I was talking to Nikki about this. I was like, dude, if I started drinking again, I would expect you guys to say something to me. Like,
Yeah.
I stop, no secrets, dude. Like, shame me, for shame if I did something wrong.
Yeah. I think shame is rooted in pride, actually, which is an ironic thing. It's like you only have shame because you had pride to be knocked down from.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
yeah, totally, dude. Yeah,
Because if you had a humility, you wouldn't. The shame would be gone. Which I think is why the Jesus archetype and Jesus himself, like, they want humility as a way of like covering over shame, kind of thing.
yeah, dude. I forget who I was talking to, but they were talking about confronting somebody, and they're like, oh, they're gonna get mad, and I'm like, yeah, they're gonna get mad because they know you're right and you're calling them out. That's why they're gonna get mad. Right? Kind of the same tie into shame and pride and ego.
Yeah, methinks the person doth protest too much, kind of thing. Like you're mad because I hit a chord. Well,
yeah,
she
exactly.
The mark, get her all riled up like that. Yeah, it's that's not always true. I can be upset because you have accused me of something that's so off base that I would get upset if somebody accused me of hitting my girlfriend or something. I'd be very upset about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I totally get being mad about something like that, but I almost, man, you know what? This is one of those things where I'm not gonna say what I would do in that situation. I just know what I did in past situations with accusations is. You say whatever you want to say, man. People know who I am, and you're gonna get found out to be a liar sooner than later.
Yeah, I have come to that conclusion as well. It's like I don't think my reputation is worth me having to go through every breadcrumb and clean up, because the best thing to do is to cut you out because you're a mold on the loaf at this point.
Yeah, but to your point, dude, to give you some credit there, like I remember I was doing this one group when I was in treatment, and the counselor was saying about there's no justifiable anger ever. I'm like, there's absolutely justifiable anger. The only part that's wrong about it is what you do when you're angry. You're allowed to be angry. There is anger that's completely justified. It's just what do you do afterwards?
Yeah, anger is natural, and anger is a number one indicator of cross boundaries. So it's like if you have a boundary that's been crossed, the anger is going to be the response. Whether you bottle it up or not, the anger is an indication that you have a boundary that's been crossed, or that you have failed to secure that boundary or fight for that boundary. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's boundaries in my life where it's like, I'm not going to accept you. Like, say I'm married. I'm not married, but like, I'm not going to accept you slandering my wife in front of me. I'm not going to accept it.
Right? Yeah, I'm married, and so that's a boundary.
And I'm
that
sure
I do
I'm
have.
not. I'm sure I'm not alone in that. I'm sure every guy is like, yeah. If you say something like that, I'm gonna confront you. If you don't take it back, we're gonna have to deal with this.
Yeah,
it's just not. It's
dude,
not
totally.
just gonna go away, right? So there are.
Well, yeah.
But there's not. Unless he was right. I'm just kidding. Even if she's right, no.
Well, he's not gonna be right because I tell every guy that I meet at the detox, I say, be picky, bro. And if he was picky, they won't. The accuser won't be right.
Yeah. Dude. Okay. So back to. Okay. So the crossing relationship refresh.
Right. That's what I wanted to talk about. I was talking about casting too wide a net. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So I have a huge problem with everybody just like, well, let's just be the most inclusive and just include everybody. And we were at church on Sunday, and they were doing this marriage refresh, which is like, I think it's 1 or 2 Wednesdays for married people.
Okay.
To be able to refresh their memories, ask key questions, like maybe whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. So marriage refresh. It's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, but it's also for single moms too, and it's also for single people too. And I'm like, then what's the point of this course, dude? Like, what are we doing? Like, I just have a huge issue with this whole like just cast the widest net possible. It's like, well, then you're missing the message. Then like, there's no message to spread. If you want to include everybody, then you've already lost your message.
Yeah, that's okay. I can see where somebody would say, like, I think it would be beneficial for single people to hear this too. But at the same time, it's like, but it is not for them. It is not for you.
Well, it's not a sermon, right? There's a sermon you can write for married people that is good for single people to hear too. But this is a course. This is a like a thing that's supposed to be specifically for married people, and now we're just like, oh, but everybody can come. It's like, well, what message could you possibly have then if you're just going to try and include everybody?
Okay, where else does this kind of show up though?
Man, you caught me off guard there.
I was like, because I understand like in the church how that happens all the time. That's because there's always like a message where people have 1,000 questions. Well, what about that? Well, what about that? Go home and meditate on it. Go home and pray on it. Why do you want like you are like answer this, answer? It's like, dude, a lot of the, like the way religion and relationship with the Lord or any whatever you pray to usually works is you have a question and you don't get an answer. It's revealed to you over time. You start to understand. It comes to you. It's not something that's just like here's A, here's B, go home. Those are rules, right?
Yeah.
You have your
Yeah.
10 rules. They were written on tablets, and some dude broke them when he was mad, and we still have them now. They're called like the 10 Commandments or something. I don't know. Maybe you heard of
I
them.
remember hearing about
Okay,
that where he had to
so-
go back and get.
So you have your rules. If those aren't good enough for you, then try not to live up to rules. Live up to something
Dude, look,
else.
here's a perfect example. You were talking about that one Amazon show about the Lord of the Rings or whatever it was, right?
Ring of Power, yeah.
They cast too wide a net. They're like, let's just include everybody and forget about the message of our story.
Oh yeah, I was talking about the Wheel of Time on Amazon. Yeah.
The Wheel of Time, right? So like, sure, we could talk about political correctness and whatever, but I think one of the biggest issues with that show, I never saw it, but as you've described it to me, it sounds like let's just include everybody, and then now we've just lost the story because now we're too busy trying to make everybody happy and include everybody and make sure we check all the boxes off, and now we've lost our story.
Yeah, because of representation. And it's
Yeah,
like, you're
exactly.
not- well, I think that's a little bit different because you have to be, if it's a secluded mountain village, they should all kind of be the same group of people untouched by the world. If I wrote a show about an untouched tribe in the Amazon and there's Asians there and there's white people there, and you're just kind of like, wait, you all got here?
But
You all
that's what
got
I
here
mean,
and
dude.
you're untouched by the world, but for 1,000 years only the Asians like bred and only the white people bred, and like you just kept it separate just so we could find you multicultural already and be like, oh look, see, nomadic people know how to do it properly. How come America can't do it like this? You know what I mean?
I think that's exactly my point, right? Like, so in Marriage Refresh, they had a message for married people, and then they just decided, well, everyone's included, and so now we have to make sure that we touch on everything. So now we just diluted our message. Same thing with that TV show. We had a great story, but for the sake of inclusion, we just diluted the story and made it make no sense, and now it's just garbage.
Yeah. Okay. So that makes sense because there's a lot of stuff in the Bible that is super specific about one thing, and then people go and like cherry pick it and apply it to all these other things that it was never applied to.
Exactly.
I was actually reading it the other night, and I was thinking like half of the book is literal verified historical documents. It's literally historical text. It's not a story. It's literally a historical like the Luke, Chronicles, Kings, Samuel, the first 5, the Pentateuch or whatever they call it. Like those are not like here's our storybook. Those are like literal historical texts that have been handed down, passed, and then historically verified by current and former and ancient historians. All verified them. About half the book is that. The other half is like Psalms and miracles, John and stuff like that is miracles, Revelation. But half of it is literally you should read it like a history book, because that's what it is. So if you read something in a history book and then you go, yeah, but if I'm reading a California history book and then I go, oh, well, what about people in Arizona? So did they just do this too? And I'm like, do you see how that sounds?
Yeah, that's exactly my point, though. Like, not. You don't need to cast the widest net and just include everybody. Like, certain messages can be just for you, or for you, or for you, or for them, right? We don't need to cast a huge wide net because now we're just diluting all of our stories, and now they just make no sense and have no meaning.
Yeah, but I think the Crossing's a pretty big church, yeah?
Sort of. It depends on how you look at it. It's a big church in the sense that a lot of people go there on Sunday, but once you start volunteering, it's like, yeah, it's a small church.
Mhm.
In the sense of like, right? Because they say the church is the people, right? And so for me, it's like
Peeps, yeah.
the people who are there consistently, all the time. To me, that's the
core.
church.
Yeah,
It's
the
not.
core.
It's not the pretend Christians who go there on Sunday. So the core people, I would say it's a medium-sized church if you take it down
That-
to just those people.
So that's talk about a wide net, dude. Christianity is a wide net because fishers of men. Because you meet a lot of people that say I'm Christian, and then if you dig even a little bit, you're like, I mean, are you really, dude? Like, I think you say you believe this, but I don't think you might believe it, but it's not like you. This doesn't dictate your life. Like if somebody said I'm a Buddhist, it's like no. Your parents are Buddhist. You just go to school. You just you just go to
exactly.
UCLA. You're just an Asian person. You just want to like be loyal to your heritage, but you're not. You're not a Buddhist. The same as like a Christian. Like you say you're a Christian because you were raised with your family who tried to inculcate those values into you. However, you did not live them out. So I think
Yeah.
that's one of those things of if somebody said I'm a conservative, yet they vote like for all like gun control, they vote pro-choice, they vote all these things. It's like you're not really a conservative. Maybe you think you are because you're against taxes, but you're not a conservative, right?
There's more to conservatives than just lower our taxes.
Yeah,
Like there's
yeah.
way more than just that.
So
yeah.
so I wonder if like there's a sorting mechanism for that because we're always trying to if you're in the in group, you're not trying to weed out everyone else. Like lately, I think the only group that does that is the woke group that says like if you're not woke enough, then you're on the outside.
Yeah,
It kind of they
dude,
kind of
they're-
eats they
they're
kind of eat their
100%.
own. They kind of eat their own.
Yeah. Yeah.
But every other group is like Christians are just happy people show up to church. And I'm guilty of that too. Like if somebody's not Christian and they show up, dude, Jehovah's Witnesses were like that. When I showed up, I was not a Jehovah's Witness, but they were like, oh, hey, cool, good to see you. So like, okay, can't wait to see you next week. And like, they're like giving me all this stuff, being super friendly to me. Like, cause I understand that. Like, if I run a Dungeons and Dragons group and somebody wants to come and spectate, I'm like, yeah, dude, pull up a chair. You guys just let this hook them while they're young, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Let
you
me tell
wanna-
everything about this game before you run away.
But it's not even that. It's like because if you've truly found something fun and genuine, you want somebody to stick it out so that they can see what you see in it. You want to share. It's
Yeah.
like a light you found. You're like, look at this light, and it's like I don't see anything. You just keep looking. It glows in the dark. Okay.
It's like when I tried to show my wife anime, and I was just
Ah,
like, just
yeah.
keep watching,
I
and
know.
she watched the whole thing. So
Dude, I
you know.
have a select few anime titles that I will show because I'm like, this is the ease into it one.
Yeah.
You're not ready for this stuff. You can ease into it, right?
I was talking about Dragon Ball Z with a client, the client at work. He's like, yeah, he said my biggest problem with Dragon Ball Z is that every fight would take 5 episodes, and I said, fair enough, dude.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
That's true. I think, well, dude, at least you can binge them. I had to wait the next day. You know what I mean?
Right, dude. I was running home from elementary school. I don't remember
I
what
paid
it was.
my dues,
Yeah, I
okay?
was like, oh, it comes on at 3 on Cartoon Network. I gotta get there.
Well, we'll come and rerun it later too, but dude,
No, you have to watch it when it comes on, bro.
How would you? Okay, here's a wacky question. How would you end prostitution in this country? First of all, do you think it should be ended or legalized?
Dude, it's really hard for me to say it should be legalized because, I mean, porn's legal. I mean, to me, yeah, like that's maybe I'm way off base here, but to me, porn's just legal prostitution in my estimation. Now, should
I think
prostitution?
that should be illegal too.
Yeah, I totally do. I think that I don't think it's good. It's not good. And
That's okay. That's the crux of what I'm getting at. I think most people can admit that it's not good. Just like drug use, depending on the drug, like heroin and stuff. Like even if you're for legalizing it, and I know some people like, of course, the knee-jerk reaction would be like, well, who's to say it's not, like, to be super objective and stuff. Just be honest with yourself. Be honest with everybody. If I really asked you, if I caught you in a moment of weakness and said, do you really want your friends and family on heroin to put a needle in? And you're going to sit there and tell me, like, well, if they don't have a problem with it, I don't care. No, dude. Come on. It's not good.
you don't want your
Right?
friends doing heroin. Yeah, you're lying for the sake of the argument. If you're saying, well, I don't care as long as they're happy, it's like, bro, You're lying to yourself
You're
just so
lying.
you can make this argument.
Yeah,
And
let's. So I want to cut through that first of all because I don't want to get caught up in like,
semantics,
yeah,
bro.
well, if it's nobody's
Semantics.
prize, it's not hurting anyone. Dude, it's not good. It's not a good thing that you want for, your friends and family. You don't want that. So, I think it should be illegal, but I'm not sure how. Like we were talking at work about this dude drives down from Buena Park and he drives down Beach Boulevard and he sees a lot of daywalkers.
Mm.
And I was like, I remember when I was a kid, you didn't see any daywalkers. But now, like, even when I drive down, like, Harbor, it's been a long time. But, like,
I hear it's still
if you
that
drive
way.
down towards Disneyland, you hit the bad part first. And there's a
Yeah.
lot of them. And
Yeah, so I've never. It's been a long time since I've been down there, but a lot of people tell me that it's way worse.
cops don't stop it anymore. No one cares.
Mm.
And that's just it's either, like, too prolific or the crimes kept getting unpunished or something. I'm not sure.
I
But
suspect in that area it's probably both.
one thing, as a joke, just as a segue, because we're talking about religion and stuff, as a joke, I said, because we're trying to solve this problem at work, I was like, how would you end it, though? Because I got everybody to agree, like, yeah, it's not good.
Prostitution.
One dude was like, well, I
Is
don't
that-
know. Like, he's like, what's so bad about it? And I was like, do you want me to answer that? Or, he's like, yeah, I know, I'm just messing around. So I'm like, okay, how would you end it? And one thing I said was that you take a few of them, stone them to death. The Johns too, they don't get away with it. Not like the Old Testament where it's like just stone the woman. No, the John too. Like you have to embrace her, and then we stone you. And then you do.
We stone you first because you have to protect her, right?
Yeah.
Because you're the man. So now you got to protect
Yeah.
her where you're getting stoned.
No, okay. She's behind you, because you solicited her. We tie you up. She's behind you, and if we can hit her too, fine. But in order to hit her, we have to throw so many rocks that you're just obliterated.
We
So,
have to literally
So
get
we
through
have an
you.
incentive to throw as hard as we can. Just rocks. Just rocks. Anyway. Okay. After a few of those, people would be like, you can't do that, man. Can't do that. It just did. I think that
That's what it comes down to, though, bro. Go ahead. I won't forget.
Yeah.
But that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I think the societal pressure would stop that. I don't actually want that to happen because I've seen videos of stonings and they're brutal. They're
No, absolutely
they're terrible.
not.
They're
No.
terrible. So I don't actually want that to happen. I'm just saying that it's gotten to a point where people are just doing it in the day, and then to the point where it's even mentioned, and it's like, oh, whatever. Yeah, it's what it is. I'm like, why do we tolerate this? Why is it like, you know what I mean? And I was thinking of this time when, like, I think it was Phineas in the Bible where he, like, the dude brings, like, a Midianite chick straight into,
remember.
yeah, he brings her straight into camp in front of everybody, and it's, like, totally forbidden. And he's like, she's a shrine prostitute, and he brings her to his tent, and they just start going at it right there, and the whole camp can hear her, and they're all like, is this guy actually doing this? And, like, Phineas, like, he grabs a spear, and he's like, not in my town, and he, like, immediately goes in there and goes in the tent and stabs through him and through her at the same time, just like, and so that was his, like, thing of, like, no, like, not even just like, I'm gonna pull you away and chastise you. It's like, this is so far over the line that I'm just gonna kill you both. Now I don't.
This is so egregious.
Yeah, I don't advocate for that. That's like an Old Testament thing. Like, what are they gonna do? Put him in jail? There's no jails there. They're in the middle of the desert. But what I'm saying is, I'm not justifying that. Basically, there's a lot of things in the Bible that are inconvenient for me. I can't justify them. They're in there. But what I'm
Well, it's a different mind. On a total side note, dude, I was hearing about this today, where it's survival. When you have to survive, your mindset is much different than when you live in the first world America, where you don't need to survive.
That's true. That's true. I think in a zombie apocalypse, if somebody was like, "Please let me in. I have a kid," I might and I might not, because I don't know you, dude. I don't even know if that's your kid.
Well, let's take it to a different scenario where we don't have to worry about that. Like, if somebody was sneaking food, hey, we're rationing all of our food. This guy's sneaking food. You're gonna kill that guy, or you're gonna leave him for dead.
I'm gonna kick him out for sure. Yeah, depends on how much you stole. Yeah, it's like I was hungry. It's like we're all hungry. If you can't get.
That's
with
what I
this
mean.
program,
When you get into survival mode, like in the
Yeah.
Old Testament, you're in survival mode. This is unacceptable. We don't do this. But
Yeah.
we live in America where we don't have to do stuff like that.
Yeah. Anyway, my point is that, like, he was so zealous for, like, that was such an over the line thing for him. He was willing to, like, at the very least speak up about it. At the very most, kill them both with a spear. My point is that when I see that, I just go, oh, well, fuck. Like, they'll learn eventually. That chick will get ran through and then try to pick up her life when she's 35, and she'll be on another, story on soft white underbelly on YouTube, being like, this is my life. And then, like, I live my life now telling a testimony of to other girls of what not to do. And it's like, okay, yeah, after the brokenness. How do we do
Yeah.
it before the brokenness? You know what I mean? Like,
Shame, bro. Shame.
you know what I mean? It's like, why does it have to be afterwards? Why does it have to be like, oh well, they're stupid, they'll learn? It's like, dude, a lot of people, that's tough, because what comes to mind is like fat people, all right? When, like, I mean, talking obese people, like,
You're talking
I'm not gonna smack
400
I'm not
pound
gonna
people.
smack the cheeseburger out of their mouth. I'm not going to. In
Mm.
fact, I really don't care. But like, I also recognize that, dude, like, you would have a much more fulfilling, healthier life if you ate healthy and got fit and trim and stuff and felt good about yourself. Like, that's not the be all end all. Like, I want you to be like satisfied spiritually, mentally too. I want you to be fulfilled. Like, do your fulfill. But I don't think you feel fulfilled and content just eating like that. I don't think that's it. And in fact, I don't think you're happy with it. I just think you're too lazy to do anything about it. I think you're too like, well, I'm already this way and it's too much work. And it's sort of like starting something you've never started before. Like the gym, for instance. Like, you lift like 30 pounds and you're like, this is so freaking heavy, I could never do it or whatever. Like, where's the difference when you're like, stay consistent and like willpower over something and just stop? Addiction's another good example.
Yeah.
You can stop for a few days and then you start again, and stop for a few days, and then people struggle with relapse 10 years until they get the like willpower enough, or whenever they get sick enough of it or whatever, and they stop. But like, what's that secret spot, right?
I don't, dude. And what's just like guitar? Because everybody comes to the detox and says, "Oh, I wish I played guitar." And I tell them all the time, dude. Let me tell you the secret. I was never good at guitar. I was never musically inclined. It didn't come naturally to me. I just wanted to play. You don't want to play as badly as I did.
I wanted to.
Yeah.
That's a good. That's it. I wanted to. So, if somebody is overweight, you can say two things about them. One, they want to be that way, because if they don't, they would change. And if they don't want to be that way, they want to be that way more than they don't want to be that way.
That's exactly what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. I want to play guitar. It's not obvious to me that you want to, because you can't play guitar. Like I said, I wasn't naturally talented. It did not come easy to me. It was a lot of work, but I still play it. And then, there was guys when I was a freshman, I was like, oh, how long have you been playing? Oh, a month. You're way better than me, but I don't care, because I want to play that bad. So it's not obvious to me that if an overweight person, oh, you think I like being this way? I don't think you hate it enough.
Speaking of freedom, because that's something that gets like instantly brought up, is like, well, shouldn't you be free to like exchange your body for money if they're both willing people? It's like, you do that in other ways. You sell your body when you go work in construction. You're selling your back, right? One could say.
But the easy argument is, you're giving up so much more when you're doing
right,
that.
the value. So that's exactly what it is. It's the value. It's the intimacy is so valuable that people chase it their whole lives. People spend most of their lives chasing it. That's why there's all these dating apps selling counterfeit intimacy, or
That's
pornography,
a great way to put
selling
it, bro.
counterfeit intimacy.
Yeah.
It's like, if you follow the path of the world, it's all fake. The money is not worth anything anymore. It's only worth what people say it is, because we're off the gold standard. Pornography is fake lust, right? It's just fake. It's not real. It's just for your mind to imagine, right?
Yeah.
Or your mind to it's not real intimacy.
Indulge in garbage.
It's all fake, right?
Yeah.
Filters on everything. It's all fake. And so it's like, it's the opposite of reality and truth. And so the difference so that's what I'm saying. It requires a common definition on intimacy and what that value, if it's valuable or not. Because if it's not valuable, then why protect it?
Yeah.
If it's not valuable, so the gay marriage thing, for instance, that you brought up earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I have asked gay friends when they ask me like, "What do you think about gay marriage?" And it's like, "Why do you want to get married? What's the point of getting married? What's the point? What do you want to get married for? What will that change? Legality stuff? Like, we could fix that without marriage. You just both of you sign a paper, that's changed. We could change that law. Why do you want to get married? Why do you want to come together? Why do you want to do that? What's the difference? You know,
Yeah.
there
I
are
mean,
differences for people who recognize the institution of marriage and what it was built for. Two people coming together as a team for to death to us part. You're like the feminine and the masculine balancing each other. Those two energies, where the feminine is more focused on emotional, like you were saying, like I've found true in my own life. A guy could sit at home and save money and do nothing and just stack money and build the house up and the security. The girl's the one that comes in and kind of makes it a home.
yeah.
Kind of makes the life, you know,
Makes
because
life happen.
because there's the masculine energy and there's feminine energy, and they kind of balance each other, like the yin yang thing. It's like this weird cosmic consistency that you see in life. You don't have to go to some religious text to find that. It's just reality.
Dude, you just talk to people. I can't tell you. I've had this conversation about how men and women are different, and we balance each other out really well, especially if you pick your partner wisely. Over the last 3 weeks, dozens of people, and everyone's like, you know, man, you're right. I don't really have a good argument against what you just said, or like, I don't really. I don't know. They agree. That's the consensus.
Right. The point is one of the points also of marriage is procreation. I mean, I'm not saying that like we just came together, so if we don't have kids, then it's a failed marriage or whatever. What I'm saying is that when you are married and then you have kids, you have this unit now that provides for the kids and stuff. And you have like guaranteed paternity and maternity and stuff. And it's like it's a unit now, right? It's not just like we decided to get married so that we can get cheaper taxes or whatever. You know what I mean? That's not the point of it.
Yeah.
That's not the point of it. And especially with like hookup culture and stuff, it's like
Dude, everyone's just waiting to bounce in hookup culture. That's what it's all about. Everyone's just waiting to get out.
in hookup culture.
Yeah. And where's my off ramp at? That's pretty much it. I'm on the freeway, dude.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll stay on the 22 for a couple miles, and then I'll get off on the 55, and then maybe I'll get on the 405. Everyone's just waiting to get on that off ramp.
The problem is like I talked about that pair bonding issue. Is like the more of those you go through, especially long-term relationships, when you break out of those, and you're like, you start to like not see the specialness in it. Like as you start to increase those encounters, you just start to be like, this is not the fairy tale anymore. It's just, you know what I mean?
Dude, it's like we were saying, I don't remember which podcast it was, but I think I've only had 2 really long-term relationships. And the more stuff that I do with my wife now that I've never done with anyone else, dude, it's like you were saying, it's like way more special. And like, since I've never been in a relationship this long before, nor have I made this kind of commitment before. And so like every single moment that we have, it's just extra special, right? Everything we do now. Right, because I'm at a point now where I've basically done none of the stuff I'm doing now with my wife. So everything, dude, I mean, it's cool. It's great.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
I love
exactly. And you can't reverse that. You can't. I wonder if you can. I wonder if that can be redeemed.
I don't know. That's why, like, dude, the whole idea of like, I don't have a problem with like dating per se, but the whole like just test out all the cars before you find the one you want to buy. I don't know if I really like that that aspect of dating. Right? Like, I think dating should be, I don't know, me and my wife dated for just, I mean, you and Dad know, like, it was quick, dude, but, like, we didn't just, like, there was never, like, this casual, like, oh, we're just kind of feeling each other out. No, like, when I met her, I was like, here's some BS you need to know about me, and she was like, here's some BS you need to know about me, and we were both like, hey, can you hang with this? Yeah, all right, let's see if we can do a little bit more.
That's my current one, too. We were like, hey, like, so what's new with you? I'm like, well, this is new with me, and this is new with me. It's like, all right, well, do you accept this? It's like, yeah. Do you accept this? Yeah. It's like,
yeah, I tell guys all the time that.
Because you start at this, like, foundation of, like, built-in trust now, because it's like, I have not hidden anything. You see me for who I am.
Exactly. Right? That's exactly, because I tell guys this all the time. They always laugh. It's like, when I first met my wife, when we started dating, this is what I told her. I play video games. I'm an alcoholic, so I go to AA meetings. I volunteer at church. And I write and record music. I'm not going to stop doing those things.
And she went, oh, okay.
No, she went, guitar, cool. Church, cool. Video games, but I mean, it wasn't that callous, but
I know. Yeah.
it was that direct. What I said basically was, I will make time for you, but not if you start cutting into these things that are already a part of my life. And obviously,
That's a good way to say it.
well,
Yeah.
things shift and transform as we've gotten along.
They
and
will
married
shift.
and-
Priorities will shift. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way to say it.
But I always say this, dude. I've been married for 5 years in September, and the core things that I told her, I still do. I still play video games. We're doing a podcast right now, so I still do that. I still write and record music. I still volunteer every other Sunday at church. It looks a little bit differently now, and of course my priorities have changed. But she is still like, "Hey, man, you liked those things when we first
Yeah.
started going, and you know,
the
I
way
told you."
the way I described that, dude, to my chick is that these are you need to not see these as hobbies, and you need to see these as like the trifecta of outlets. Like I have a creative outlet, which is my music. I have my intellectual outlet, which is the podcasts I do and listen to. They use my
Yeah.
mind. I have the physical outlet, which is the gym that I have. So I have like the body, mind, and spirit all taken care of.
Look at you all
And
balanced out.
then I have the outlet of like I'm vegging out too, which is usually video games. Just one.
Yeah.
It's the competitive one because I want to like fight against real people and win, right?
Total side note. What are you playing right now?
Oh, Heroes of the Storm.
Nerd.
Yeah.
I'm
Smite
still,
too. I was playing Smite.
I'm still on a huge Breath of the Wild kick.
I
Zelda,
don't.
Breath
Yeah.
of the Wild.
I to be honest, man, like I don't play a lot of video games anymore. I wish I did because there's a lot of good ones coming out.
No, that's it. Dude, like I said, my priorities shifted, and so I pick one video game that I will play like 2 nights out of the week, and I always like to play long form story driven ones. That way, I like just doing it over a couple of months. Like
So
Final
you're
Fantasy,
just playing a book at that point. You're not really, you know what I mean?
there you
It's
go.
not-
Thank
yeah.
you. That's exactly it, dude. I just like
Yeah.
picking a good book that I can read for 4 months, dude. Like
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII remake
Yeah.
took me about a month. To,
Yeah, I
month or
know.
two to
I know
beat.
what you mean. Like
Yeah.
Witcher was like that too. Like I'm not really playing a game because half the time they're just talking. So it's like
Yeah.
I'm just watching a story unfold. It happens to be on the Xbox, but I
well,
like
and the
I
other
said, like,
reason,
the
dude,
main reason I'm playing video games is not to play video games. It's a competitive outlet. So I could just as well go play pickup soccer 3-on-3 in the little tiny rink in Westminster. I could do that
Yeah.
too, but it's easier to queue up a game for 30 minutes and play.
I think that's the reason that I don't play those games is I don't have the time to get good at them. I'm already good at RPGs and stuff like that,
Mhm.
and I just don't have the time to get. I don't have the time to find the people. I don't know anybody who plays video games like you and me do, like Counter-Strike and stuff like that.
A lot of people.
I just don't have the time for that. Like I because my time is so limited, I just want to surround myself with people like you and Andre and like my friend Steve and stuff who are like just doing stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's super cool to have friends who are into video games and do that kind of stuff. I have too many
I know what you're
other.
saying. Yeah,
eggs
I
in
know
the
what you're
basket
saying.
to-
I want
it all.
I
but-
want to hang out with somebody, but when we're hanging out, we're like getting something done. We're not just like BSing.
Dude,
you know?
that yeah,
It's like,
and that's
yeah.
dude. That when I think that's the biggest difference between men and women, which is I always tell guys at the detox about. I'm like, dude, the biggest difference between men and women is women will hang out, just hang out. I'm like, dude, I never hang out with anybody unless we're doing something.
Yeah, I don't say to my guy friends like, "Let's go get dinner." You know what I mean?
Dude, that was
It's
something
like-
I did have to get used to when I first started going to the crossing. Like a couple of my friends that are still my friends to this day that work at that church, they were like, "Hey, you want to go get coffee?" And I'm like, "For what?
Yeah.
What?" It was so foreign to me. I'm like,
I have
"Bro, I'm
learned.
still not comfortable with that."
I have learned to say okay to those encounters because I want to make time, waste time. I want to waste time and
Well, those conversations are usually pretty engaging, though. If you
That's
get,
what I
if
mean.
you get with a real one,
that's what I mean. Like to me, it's a waste of time. But at the same time, like there's always a nugget in there. I was thinking of Jesus in the alabaster jar, where the chick like she takes a $600 alabaster jar and like basically wastes it on his feet, or whatever.
right? Yeah. Yep.
And it's like she could have sold it at the market, and she could have done all these better things with it. And I think about that with my time. Like I could have done a lot of more productive, better things with this. However, I think this is gonna sound stupid, but I think there's like nothing more like beautiful in the world than like taking what you think is really valuable and wasting on somebody you think like maybe isn't worth it, but still deserves it in a way because they're like, you know, it's just like you make time for like I made time for this kid who like couldn't stop drinking at work, and like I just sort of like took him aside and was like, dude, I'm just gonna do this for him, you know. I was
Yeah.
like, and like I was like, he might not, that might not have changed much, but I know in the future he'll reflect and be like, I'm glad that dude was there for me at that time because I needed him to be there, kind of thing.
Well, dude, and even if he doesn't get better, like the seed was planted, right?
Yeah, I did it because I was like, I'm in this position to do this for this guy and nobody else is right now. So if I don't come through, he's in worse. So like, even though I have no responsibility to him, I could just walk away. I was just kind of like, I know that like, I think the Lord put me there. But if you want to say like the universe or whatever, like it was orchestrated in a way that was like, here's your chance to help somebody like you've been helped 1,000 times.
That's
right?
exactly what yeah. And
So-
dude, you can say the universe, but you're really just saying God without saying God.
Well, yes, because it's the universe, right? It's a verse is words are in a verse, right?
Yeah.
A verse is
the
made up
one
of
word.
words, the
Yeah.
one word. Yeah, so I don't know. I just,
That's beautiful, dude.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
yeah, colored folk.
Dude, it's okay. Now that was the racist one back in the day. People of color is what they say, right? POC. Yeah. That's super racist, dude. I don't care what you say. I don't care how politically correct you think you're being. It's super racist, in my opinion, to say, "Hello, person of what." I don't even know how you use that, dude. Is that like, oh, he was a person of color? Is that how you even use that?
I think they just say POC now because even just that color thing. It's a weird thing because like you're basically claiming that this is your victim class hood, so you have to say it,
One sec.
but then you also can't say it. I don't know. It's just like I'll wrap this up, but I never got the chance. I'll never get the chance to use this because nobody ever asked me about my pronouns. I don't know. Maybe I just hang out with the wrong people. But it's like when somebody says, "Oh, I identify as she, her." Yeah, but I don't identify you as that. Like in my world, in my truth, you're not that.
Yeah, so, dude, fair point, dude. Fair point. Like, you can't dictate my reality. Yeah, and you can't dictate mine.
Right.
And in my reality, you're a unicorn.
Yeah. For me, I don't identify you as that though. And
Ooh,
if
I
you
wanna
say who
use that,
cares what
dude.
you identify, who cares about you? It's like, well, I can say the same thing, right? I identify as I and me.
Yeah,
So
that's
if
where all
you-
that breaks down.
You're right. So, I don't know.
Yo-Yo Ma was a famous
Yo-Yo
cellist?
Ma. Cellist.
Yeah, this was fire, dude.
Yeah.
This is a good one. Yeah.
Alright.
Yo-Yo Ma was a famous cellist?
Creamed corn.
Creamed corn. Yo-Yo Ma was a famous
What
cellist.
did
Go
you eat for
cellist,
dinner?
you know.
What did you eat for dinner? A whole hog.
That's what it
I ate a
was.
whole hog.
I ate a
had
hog on it. Go ahead.
I ate a dead pig, a suckling pig on a pagan banquet. Okay. All right.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. Peace.
Suckling.